This Vermont Utility Hazards Outlook is valid the rest of today, Tuesday, through next Monday, February the 15th. Well, sliding back into relatively benign conditions, but much colder winter conditions are expected. Expect frequent minor snow shower or flurry activity, depositing a little bit on our mountain slopes, not too much on the valley floors. Non-impactful weather, except for travel occasionally, only with minor coatings. An Arctic chill is on the way for this weekend. It'll be fairly notable, arriving from Hudson Bay in Ontario, maybe the coldest of this entire winter, tempered as compared to past winters. What we're looking at here is the upper level trough of low pressure. All these signify snow. A lot of stations reporting snow down into, you can consider the deep south. This is coming, the air mass coming in from the north over the top of a big Pacific North American ridge up and down the western coast, and you can see this will be eroding at some point down the road a piece, and that will allow a little bit warmer air to start to skirt east, but that's not going to happen until after we get a pretty good Arctic plunge, this coming from Hudson Bay in Ontario, and of course further north cross-polar flow. Looking at the 6-hourly panels here, and what you can see is a little bit of snow shower activity. This is valid earlier on this morning, and you can see that this begins to lift up to the north of us, clear out of Vermont. We still have that 997 area of low pressure that's located over the western part of Lake Ontario, southeast of Toronto. Track across the lake, produce a few more flurries, and we're going to see these for the next several days. But you notice some pretty cold air here, demarcation line, these dashed red versus dashed blue lines. Thickness values support snow all the way down into off the South Carolina coast. And you can see a little bit of lake effect plumes working on through once that area of low pressure departs. We get into a weak ridge of higher pressure, mostly centered to the south of our region. That will work into Vermont. It may bring us some periods of sunshine mixed with clouds and yet more flurries. That'll be taking place, it looks like, during the day on Friday. And it's what happens after Friday that gets kind of interesting. So there's our ridge of higher pressure, and we see another weather system, kind of a clipper system with jet stream energy kind of tracking on through, picks up a little bit of lake effect, and you can see some of the enhanced lake effect moisture stepping up just a little bit more, just a little bit greater than a couple hundredths of an inch, but we're not talking about very much either. So this is valid at about 7 o'clock on Friday evening. But what ends up happening here, once this little trough of low pressure kind of rotates through, you see these very cold thicknesses going to be landing right over Vermont. This is an illustration of the very thick, cold air mass, and really temperatures that, at least in terms of wind chill, we might see minus 35. I'll show you that a little bit later. But needless to say, these are exceptionally cold air masses, and this is one of those kind of deals where once this air mass works on in, it's going to bring some extreme cold wind chills as it looks right now. High pressure will eventually build in as we get into Sunday and into the day on Monday, as you can see here, and that'll be followed by yet another Alberta clipper system. So what we're looking here now is centered on New England and wind chill. This is Vermont, New York, St. Lawrence Valley, and so forth. This air mass is very, very cold. You can see minus 27-degree wind chills. And it makes a run at us, and we drop down into the teens below zero. This will be valid Thursday night. And then you can see during the day on Friday, that kind of retreats, and then we get a really big plunge here. And this is what I'm talking about. Minus 37 degrees in Morrisville, and that takes place basically on Saturday night into Sunday. Okay, jumping to total accumulated precipitation, you can see that basically under 25/100ths of an inch, and most precipitation is going to be off to our west. That secondary storm track with these coastal lows going well out to sea with that North Atlantic oscillation and the version of a positive phase, and basically headed to Europe and really not heading north and hugging the coastline. And these are temperatures, of course, these are max temperatures over the course of the next 5 days. Warm up in the west, cool down in the east. Not a whole lot of change 3 days later. Let's jump to snowfall. Not a whole lot to show here. This is valid through yesterday morning. And these are total 7-day snowfall, pathetic at best. And taking a look at snow depths, Northeast Kingdom, Northern Green Mountains, Southern Green Mountains, a few of the higher elevations, one Connecticut River Valley, 1 or 2 showing an inch. We've lost most of our snow cover in western Vermont, and it's holding out, but very, very thin pickings right now in the Northeast Kingdom. And looking at this is the temperatures centered on Montpelier. You can see maximums will happen basically on Wednesday afternoon. And then after that, it's kind of a slow slide. And just to drag this a little bit further here, as you see on Saturday, temperatures only topping out 15 to 20 as you get into Friday afternoon. And then a pretty good fall in temperature and kind of the basement temperatures here where that Arctic plunge will take place. And we're really going to feel it. And just moving along a little bit further here, you can see a little bit of a warm-up here incrementally as we get into next Tuesday with another weather system potentially bringing us some snow. This is a snowfall of the last 3 days, last 24 hours, the next 24 hours, the next 3 days, and then finally the next 10 days. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.